They say death is the end of pain, the final silence, the great unknown. But what if it isn't? What if, in those last moments, you don't fade away, but wake up somewhere else, somewhere that was expecting you? Jake Holloway didn't believe in the afterlife. Then he died. And what waited for him on the other side wasn't heaven, wasn't peace. It was something watching, something waiting, and it whispered his name. Jake Holloway was an ordinary man with an ordinary life. No great achievements, no devastating regrets, just work, bills, weekend beers with friends. If he thought about death at all, it was as a distant concept, something that happened to other people. Then, one cold November night, it happened to him. He was driving home, rain hammering the windshield, when the headlights came out of nowhere. A blinding flash, the crunch of metal, and then nothing. Until he opened his eyes. At first, he thought he had survived. He was lying in the street, the rain still falling. But something was wrong. The city was silent. No sirens, no voices, no movement. He sat up. The world around him was off. The buildings stretched impossibly tall, their windows black voids. The streetlights flickered erratically, casting long, shifting shadows. The rain wasn't wet. It slid over his skin like something alive. And then he heard it. A voice. Soft, close. Jake. His blood turned to ice. Slowly he turned. A figure stood at the edge of the light. Tall, unmoving. Its face was lost in shadow, but its eyes, if they were eyes, glowed dimly, like embers buried in ash. "You shouldn't be here," it whispered. Jake's breath hitched. "Where am I?" The figure didn't answer. It only lifted a hand and pointed. Behind him. Jake turned. The wreck was there. His car, twisted metal and shattered glass, and inside it, his body. Cold horror gripped him. This wasn't a dream. This wasn't shock. He was dead. He spun back to the figure. What happens now? For the first time, it moved. A slow step forward, then another. The air around it warped, as if reality itself was resisting its presence. "There are doors," it murmured. "Some open to light." A pause. "Others do not." Jake swallowed hard. "Which one do I take?" The figure cocked its head. "That is not for you to decide." Then from the shadows behind it, they came. Pale hands, clawed and desperate, reaching from the darkness. Hollow faces with stretched, grinning mouths. They did not move like humans. They twitched, jerked forward, limbs bending wrong. They were hungry. Jake stumbled back. No, this isn't..." The figure raised its hand. The creatures froze. Then slowly it turned to Jake. "Run." Jake didn't think. He ran. The world around him twisted, buildings shifting, streets narrowing, the darkness pressing closer. The creatures shrieked behind him, closing in. Up ahead, a door, blood red, flickering in and out of existence. He lunged for it. A cold grip seized his wrist. He turned, breathless. The figure was there, its ember eyes locked onto his. This time it said, voice barely a whisper, "You get to wake up." It shoved him. Jake fell. His lungs burned. His body ached. A blinding hospital light overhead, the beeping of machines, voices shouting his name. He was alive. But something was wrong. The room was cold. Not normal cold. Unnatural. A chill that crawled under his skin, into his bones. And then, a whisper. Soft. Close. "Not forever, Jake." He turned his head. In the dark corner of the hospital room, something was standing there, watching, waiting. And he knew, with bone-deep certainty, death wasn't done with him yet.